My name is Danny, and I decided I would try something new this summer. So, I love playing video games and computer games, but I often don't really have a lot of time just because I have a really demanding job. But I've always loved city builders and life sims and all those other really cool games. Um, but I always want to have some kind of meaning behind what I'm doing. I don't just want to build a city to build it. I want there to be a story behind it. So I decided I would go ahead and start this new series for fun. Again, this is not something that I do professionally. This is just something that I'm always trying to learn how to do new things, and I wanted to create a county with Cities Skylines 2 that's in the desert, somewhere in southern Nevada, and it's several different towns, and each of these different towns provides something really unique to the county. So today I'm building the first town of Sunwash County. This town is called Solis Junction. This is the the governmental seat of the county, and it's the first town that's created, the first town that's come about. So not only is it the government seat of the county, it's also where all the industry started in this county. So think quarries, coal mining, and then also livestock and all those other things. So this is a rail town. So it started off as a train station and a small town, and again, it's sort of on the outskirts of Las Vegas. Think it has connections to Las Vegas and Phoenix and maybe LA, but it's just sort of this desert community that's just sort of getting started. I have a lot of ideas and thoughts about how this county is going to evolve over time. But before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about myself. So I am not an influencer or a YouTuber. That's not really my thing. However, I love watching other people build. So, for example, one of the city YouTubers that I love to watch is City Planner Plays, because he has really great stories that go along with his different series, and I love that. However, I'm not a city planner. That is not my occupation. My occupation is actually I'm a music teacher, and I teach high school band. And because of that, I have a huge passion for the arts and for making making sure that the arts, both visual and performing arts, are a clear and present part of any community. Also, one of my big passions is town living. I love walkability. I love being able to just be able to walk out of my apartment and go to a coffee shop or go to a brewery or walk to the farmer's market or things like that. And where I currently live, I do get to do that, which is awesome. I actually live in I live in a college town, and one of the reasons why I really like living in a college town is because it gives me the opportunity to have a lot of city amenities without that city price tag, and it's a short commute to work, and I really enjoy it a lot. So a lot of my builds are based off of walkability and lifestyle and being able to enjoy where you live. So anyway, getting back to the build here. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a few different districts, some low density and mid density, as well as the industrial district, which has coal and stone mining. Most of the one thing that will become more prevalent in this season is the idea of sustainability and reclaiming green spaces. So not to give too much away, but you will see that this town becomes more and more green, and that's because this town is learning from other communities about reclaiming rainwater and creating a green space and reclaiming it as climate change becomes more present in the community. It becomes more of an important element of the town to maintain its maintain shade, maintain livability, and all of that. So again, like just creating some low density, and just making sure that everyone who wants to live in this town has the ability to live in like either a single family home or a row home or some medium density. I think it's really important in general for all, like when you're living in a town, you should have options. Some people think that everything should just be really high density, but I understand. Like I've lived in apartments, I've lived in townhome or duplexes, and I currently actually live in like a triplex, just kind of down the street from the main street of where I live. And all those options are good options. So I think it's important that whenever a town is being created, people have opportunities to live in any of those sort of situations, because there's pros and cons to all of them. Before I moved to where I currently live, I lived in a smaller town, and I actually owned a single family home that I still own, and I rent it out right now. However, it was still a walkable area. I was able to walk to the main street, and it was really, really awesome, and I loved it. So there's definitely like reason to love living in apartments and living in like single family homes. So if you're looking at the build, like we created elementary school and a high school that's going to serve this town. Again, like the majority of this town is mainly like mining industry. It's just sort of like what this area is lending itself to. But you'll see that there's an industry area that's sort of on the outskirts of town, and then a train station in the middle of town, and commercial right down the middle, and then residential to the left and right of that. One other thing that I wanted to keep in mind when I was creating this town was energy. Even though there is a large amount of mining, the energy itself is actually wind, and I think that being able to mine these resources, but also being very conscious of how your own town is creating energy, I think is important. And also, like I'm sort of retroactively playing this. The lore of this town is that it started as a mining community and eventually switched over to a more green-friendly energy source, although it's still mines and they still export their mining equipment. So we're going to let this keep going for a little bit, but right now we're creating a loop around the industry and adding some of the signature buildings to create a little bit more three-dimensionalness to the industry itself. Most of the assets that I'm using in this one are actually from the French pack. I thought a lot about it, and I thought that it might be a little weird to use the French assets in a desert town. However, I wanted to give it a go, and it seemed actually like it kind of blended nicely into the terrain. And I felt like, thinking that this is going to be the government seat of the county, the French and more like European style mixed and mid-density architecture in the middle of the town, I think actually kind of turned out nicely. the low density is a mixture of 1900s low density as well as San Francisco low density, both that can be found on the mods, the Steam mods, or wherever you get them from Cities Skylines. And I found them both to be really, really cool. I also downloaded additional palm trees and cacti from it as well, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a desert feel. And the Sunset itself, this is because it's Solis Junction. It's based around the rail, the rail system. So, in addition to having passenger rail, later on in the build, you'll see that the rail infrastructure does continue to be built out. But right now, we are building out the rail depot, or I'm doing the best I can with it. There I go. Yeah, so I feel like, when you start, you don't have to have something massive. I just have like a small rail depot, and I just create a connection to each of the different places. And I went ahead and situated it so like each of those destinations are real places in the southwest part of the United States. So one of the rails is going to be, I think I have one of them as Phoenix, one of them as I think maybe Palm Springs, and then the other one is, what did I do? Las Vegas. Yeah, so I like the idea of this being a fictitious county that exists in the real world. And I personally do not live in the Southwest. I actually live on the East Coast. So like in the Mid-Atlantic area. However, I think that it's really cool to be able to like create these spaces that take place in other parts of the country. I think at this point I did unlock offices, and I like to use as many of like the additional buildings that you unlock over time, and you'll see that I'm continuing to place those. I really like being able to like add those into the story, and to create like a different spaces that don't just sort of feel like plopped, but they feel like they've been developed, basically. I love the fact that like now in the game there's some texture tools so that you can create like, it's not just like one like land texture. You can create grass or dirt or sand or anything like that. I think that's awesome. You'll see that there's like this giant chunk of undeveloped land in the middle. That is where I'm planning to put commercial. When I unlock the mixed use stuff, I'm planning on having that whole area there, that pedestrian walkway, as well as the area underneath it. I want that all to be mixed residential and commercial space. I think there's something really charming about that. I love those kinds of spaces. I think it creates something that's really special and lived in. It's actually one of the reasons why I can't go back to playing regular City Skylines, just because you don't have those mixed zonings, and like I find those to be extremely important. And yeah, so again, like just continuing to fill in the residential. I don't use a ton of mods when I play. So the main ones that I do use is I use Anarchy, obviously, and I also use one called Platter, just because sometimes I've noticed that the zoning is a little funky in City Skylines 2, and sometimes I just want to be able to place things where I want to place them. So I find that to be really, really helpful. Those are the two main ones that I use. I do also use a mod to help create a more like historical start. That's why trains were unlocked at the beginning. I do use Move It as well, and Find It. But I'm not like one of these builders who just goes out the wazoo with mods, and some of them I'm still kind of learning how to use myself. So, um, but it's really, really cool. So anyway, like with this, again, like I'm not like a pro with this. However, it is fun to create and build these different sort of towns and cities. I believe that where you live and how you and like where like and how you like engage with the community that you live in is really, really important. I'm not personally somebody who, you know, can, that likes to just be able to drive everywhere. Like I do have a car, obviously, but however, like I do like to walk and interact in my community as much as possible. Like I love being able to like walk to a brewery, and then like take a walk around to like shops and coffee shops and things like that. And I think that having access to those third places easily, I think is really great. And I think part of the reason why I'm really passionate about that is because when I grew up, I grew up in a kind of just a really run-of-the-mill neighborhood where it took like 10 minutes to drive to the nearest grocery store. There were no sidewalks, anything like that. But there were some really cool things. Some really cool things about where I lived, like I was able to like bike to friends' houses and things like that. However, there weren't really like third places to go towards. But anyway, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm really into this now. So what I'm doing now in this build is I am creating a college to kind of round out the education of this town. And whenever I create colleges in Cities Skylines, I don't like to just plop a building. I want it to like have real meaning, and I want it to feel like a true campus. Because if you think about like going to college, like part of the experience of like being a resident at a college, or like being like in person at a college, is the ability to to walk to class, living on campus. Maybe you're hanging out on the quad, or you're experiencing the space and trying to make the most of it. So you want to create like a space that is going to be that's going to be a place where people are going to want to walk around and want to study, and and to inspire our next generation, I guess. But anyway, this is just Solis Junction College. It's just a small liberal arts college, and I'm thinking later in the series we'll create a true university. However, this is kind of the start. So you can see I'm trying to create some kind of quad, but I'm just doing my best. But anyway, there I go. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to kind of create a mixture of palm trees and cacti to create something that's really looks like not only is it like natural desert, but also like a little bit man-made, because like palm trees aren't just gonna like pop up in the middle of the desert. Usually they're planted or potted or something for decoration out in like Arizona or something like that, or like Las Vegas. It's not like it's like an island or anything. So but I do think that they do create a nice aesthetic for the town. But anyway, it's just sort of trying to create as much of an aesthetic as possible. I'll try to be really intentional with the builds. But anyway, so not to give too much away, but I do have some really big plans for this series, and each episode is going to be something a little bit different. So this is not going to be the only town in this county. It's actually going to be one of several towns, and each of the towns is going to contribute something to the collaboration of this county. one of the things I want, the things that I want to be able to balance within this build is um, industry, um, government, the arts, and tourism. Um, and I want them all to be built up in a way that is that's going to be intentional and that's going to create a great um, like way of life. So, for example, like I want to have a tourist element to this build, but I don't want it to become Las Vegas. I want it to have a very artsy vibe, but I don't want it to take away from the practicality of it. I want it to have strong industry, but I don't want this to become just an industrial build. I want this to be a place where someone could realistically live. But anyway, we're going to let this build on for a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and quickly just going to let it build for a little bit, and then we'll be back in a second. All right, so this is the end of what I've gotten so far with this. So here is Solis Junction. It's not 100% done. We still have some low density developments to create on the outskirts of town and some beautification to happen the um, on the west side of the town. However, this is sort of a little tour of what's going on. So obviously we have our train station right around here. And regarding transportation, public transportation within this town, we do have two bus loops. We've got a north to south bus loop that goes all the way around, although it hasn't been extended just yet. It only goes to the Solis Junction City Hall. However, eventually, in the next episode, we'll go ahead and extend it all the way around. And then I also have an east to west connector, which extends from the college all the way across to the cemetery. And then I have another connector, which is our industrial connector, which goes all the way to which loops around the entire where is it? Where it loops around the entire the entire industrial complex. So we have that. In addition to that, we have a little bit of farming industry over here. It's all livestock because it's in the desert. And then we have our college over here with still plenty of space. Regarding our elementary school and our college, our elementary school and our high school, I think both should be doing okay in terms of population. Neither are overcrowded. The elementary school's getting close, but I think we'll be okay for now. And then in addition to that, we have a supermarket over here. We have a farmer's market here. And everything is very mixed use for the most part. The low density areas are still within walking distance of shops and third places, which I think is really, really important. And that's that. We are at about 12,000, about almost 13,000 people. Although if we don't do something, we're going to start losing people. But I think in the next episode, we are going to go ahead and start our next town. And I think it's going to be situated somewhere over in this area over here. So that'll be our next area. And that area is going to be geared more towards the tech industry as well as the home of our new university. So that will be where we'll go from there. And each of these towns are going to be situated along this train line because I do have an idea for how to connect them later. However, I'm excited about this and I think it's going to be really, really fun. So thanks for following along with me on this. And I'm looking forward to the next video. So see you then and goodbye.